So far, we have gone through some theoretical parts of Java programming. Starting from this session, we are going to start our hands-on Java coding. We will begin with the Java program structure. What parts a Java program contains? A Java source code file contains one or more Java classes. If more than one class is in the source code file, only one of them may be public. The public class and the file name of the source code file must match, and each Java class can be separated into parts. We will use an example, simple.java file, to demonstrate this. So a Java source code file contains one or more Java classes. Now, if we launch Eclipse, inside this Java file, this is simple.java. It contains one class. It may contain more classes, like if I want to create some other classes here. That's possible. You can see that there's no error. I can define other classes, more classes in one Java file. However, only one class can be public. If I add public here, I will get an error because there's only one public class allowed. Once I remove this public, then this is a valid, oops, I have a one extra curly brace. Once I remove public, then this is a valid Java file containing multiple classes, but only one is public. And also, the name of this public class must be the same as the name of the Java file. It must be both be simple. And remember, Java is case sensitive. So even the case of the class name and the Java name must match. Okay. Back to PowerPoint slide. Each Java class can be separated into parts. We will explain what these parts are, but for now, all you need to know is one of the parts is this main method, and you have to define it this way, exactly this way. Each public class have a public static void main method in which the Java execution starts. Once you have the simple.java file or any class, any Java file, you can use Java-C to compile this Java file into a .class file, which is the byte code that Java virtual machine will run. When you try to run the example, you will use Java simple without any file extension. Because right now, when you use Java, you are using Java to run a class. So there's no extension needed. The Java command assumes the extension is .class. Because we are using Eclipse IDE, Eclipse does all this for us behind the scene. All you need to do is click on Run manual item. Then it will start running and printing out. Programming is great fun. At least I hope so. Let's dig further into a class. In the simple Java program, it usually starts with a Java comment. Any Java line starting with 2/ is a comment, and it's ignored by the compiler. This part will not be converted into bytecode. This is more for human beings to read. Inside the real Java code, there's this public class with a class name. This public class is called the class header for the class simple. And the area between curly braces is the body of the class simple. all of the data and the methods for this class will be between these curly braces. Within this curly braces of Java class, we have methods. Like here, we have the public static void main. This is the method header, public static void for the main method. The main method is where a Java application starts. So this area within the curly brace is the body of the main method. All the actions to be completed during the main method will be between these curly braces. Let's go back to Eclipse and see. So this part, whole part, belongs to public class simple. If I have another class, it should also have its own curly brace. Whatever inside here belongs to this class example. It has nothing to do with simple. Vice versa, whatever inside simple is not belongs to class simple, has nothing to do with class example. Within this class, we have methods like this, main. Each public class should have a public static void main. And this is where the execution starts. So when you run the simple.java, when you click here, run, Java virtual machine will find, because you specify you are running this simple.java, Java virtual machine will find the public class inside this Java class, inside this Java file. And it must be with the same name as the file, Java file. Within this Java public class, Java virtual machine will try to find this public static void main and execute whatever is inside this main method, which is between the curly braces of this main method. In our particular case, this simple Java file, there's only one statement inside this method, which is print out one sentence. But as you can see in the future, we are going to add more and more statements and give it more and more power to process. Okay. As it says here, this is the Java statement that executed when the program runs. And the more you add, the more fun you will have. Some other parts of a Java program is that you can have comments. The line started with 2/ is a comment. It's ignored by the compiler. It's not going to get into Java bytecode. The comment in this example is a single line comment. There's also multiple line comment we will touch later. Within class, you need to have a class header. This class header tells the compiler things about a class, such as what other class can see it. Is it public, or the name of the class, and it is a Java class. Following the Java class header, we have curly braces. When associated with a class header, they define the scope of the class. When associated with a method, they define the scope of the method. Here within Eclipse, you see that when curly brace is associated or just right follow the class name, it defines the scope of class. Everything inside here belongs to class simple. When it is following the main method, it's defined, associated and defined by the main, and everything inside this curly brace defines the method main. The main method is worth of some more discussion. This line must be exactly as shown in the example. Is that the args or arguments variable name can be programmers defined, but people have been using this all the way, so it's recommended you use this args name anyway. This is a line of code that the Java command will run first. This method starts the Java program, And every Java application must have a main method. When the program runs, the statements within the main method will be executed. These are the statements inside the curly brace. Can you see what the line in the example will do? It's inside here. So it's printing out this sentence. If we look back at the previous example, we can see that there is only one line that ends with a semicolon, which is system.out.print line. The programming is great fun. This is because it's the only Java statement in the program. The rest of the code is either a comment or other Java framework code, like curly brace or class header or method header. These are frameworks. They don't define what Java programs do, but they do define which part of each statement belongs to, which part of the Java program that each statement belongs to. Comments are ignored by the Java compiler, so they need no semicolons. Other Java code elements that do not need semicolons, including the headers, class headers, method headers, curly braces, all these are frameworks. Framework code do not need semicolon. Only statements need semicolon. So in short, Java is a case-sensitive language. So the name, whether it's a capital or not, matters in Java. All Java programs must be stored in a file with a .java file extension. Comments are ignored by the compiler. A Java file may contain many classes, but only one can be public. And if a Java file has a public class, the class must have the same name as the file. And also, it must have a main method. For every left brace, curly brace, or opening brace, there must be a corresponding right brace or closing brace. That's pretty straightforward, right? And whatever within this curly brace are the statements being defined in the scope. Statements are terminated with semicolons. Comments or frameworks are not considered statements, so they don't need semicolons. And there are certain special characters that is used within this Java framework, like // it marks the beginning of a single line comment. Open and close parenthesis that's used to in a method header to mark a parameter list. Curly braces is used to define scope of a class or a method. Quotation marks will enclose a string of characters, such as a message that's to be printed on the screen. If we look back at the code, you see this double quotes, but when it's printed out, there's no double quote here. The double quote itself only signifies these, whatever is enclosed with them is a string. And finally, semicolon marks the end of a complete programming statement.